Today, every day, small cap investors visit AGORACOM knowing this is the day to discover the world's next great company, to have their dreams come true. That's why I take to the open road, to find them, to tell their stories, to engage them, to bring them to life, because they want to connect with you from your office, your phone, your home, anywhere. AGORACOM, find your dream. Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of AGORACOM, in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives right after they've had big developments. With us today, I'm happy to have, for the first time ever, Julia Frank, she's CEO, and Sean Dollinger back again. He's founder, both of them with Vegaste Technologies, a brand new listing, just started trading today on the CSC under the stock symbol VEGA, Vega. Now, for those of you new to the story, and that's going to be all of you, you know that AGORACOM prides itself in discovering great new disruptive companies. They're going to be paradigm shifters in the next decade. Well, Vegaste is only the third company in Canada in the plant-based space, and they're a great company. We'll talk about that in a second. But what they really do is give small cap investors an opportunity to participate in the global paradigm shift towards plant-based foods and also, you know, home delivery of food. So it's a great double combo there. Essentially, the core business is pre-made meals, but they're going to be expanding that shortly, they say, into product lines that include cosmetics, vitamins, and even their own water brand. And they're going to build a community around that. If that sounds familiar, that's because it sounds like it's almost like the Sean Dollinger MO. Both of you, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for the invite. It's a really exciting day for us. Thank you so much for having us.
We'd love to have you. Sean, welcome back, buddy.
Thanks, man. Great seeing you again.
Hey, first day of trading. You're a $75 million company. The stock traded top 20 dollar volume actives on the CSC. How are you feeling today, especially when you contrast that to your first day of trading with Namaste a few years back? This is a big day for you.
Yeah, unbelievable, George. How far it's come. You know, we started trading March of 2016 back at Namaste, and I still remember that first day being up 1 penny on maybe like 30,000 shares, you know, like $25,000. Today, I think we traded about $600,000 worth, and you know, I ended up over 500%. So you know, absolutely thrilled, and I really believe it's just the beginning for us.
Sean, I couldn't help but notice that it seems like you're transplanting a very successful business model that you had at Namaste. You've got a platform, it's e-commerce driven, it's direct to consumer, and you're building community around that. So are you just following this great model? And is that why you're using it at PlantX?
George, you know, you're always great at pointing these things out. And, you know, that's 100% right. You look at the successful people like Elon Musk, et cetera, out there, you know, they take a concept, roll with it, technology, started PayPal, then Tesla, all these things. You know, for me, my background is 20 years of e-com, you know, from technology to cannabis to where we're at now. My ex-partner started Chewy.com. Right. It just got sold for $3 billion. It's trading at roughly $25 billion. In 6 years, the market share he took away from Amazon by being a specialty e-com. Same thing here. We are a platform for the plant-based world that I have never seen such excitement. You know, when I was in cannabis, it was one thing to be part of that exciting industry. But at the end of the day, I was never a user or anything like that. Here, the plant-based space, I'm totally into it. Julia, who will be speaking in a little bit, she's now plant-based. And yeah, that's exactly right, George. We took the same concept, but here we're going to build out a platform that appeals to everyone, whether somebody is not a plant-based, whether somebody just has an interest in trying new food. We appeal to everybody now.
Yeah, I always said that about cannabis, and we're going to get to Julia a second about the business. I always said that about cannabis. I said, okay, great that it's legalized and doing, but it's not like I'm suddenly going to become a user of cannabis. I might experiment with it once because it's legal, but that's about it. But plant-based, you know, who isn't thinking about it? And you're definitely going to get someone like me, and a million people like me are going to say, hey, let me order some food from this place and let me see what it's like. Before we get to the business side, I want to ask you one more question. Cap structure. You've got a great cap structure. You've really done a good job of the share count. Talk to us about what advantage that brings to the company and its current shareholders and all the new shareholders obviously buying the stock now.
So George, back in 2016, you even asked me a question about cap structure. I'd have no idea. You know what I mean? And here we are in 2020, and I've invested in probably 100 plus different companies. And I always scratch my head with how many warrants are out there on a company, and that just sits on the stock, and how many freely traded shares and how many shares are in the actual company. George, I've never seen a small cap company in Canada structured this way personally, 54 million outstanding shares.
Right.
Only 10% freely trading day one, with 80% belonging to insiders, right? And then of the shell, there were only 3 million shares once it was consolidated, right? At a cost average of $1.50 a share. We opened up at 25 cents today, and we went as high as $2.25. And that kind of indicates where we're at. And that's with no one even knowing the story yet. That's with no one meeting Julia. That's with no one really hearing our revenue numbers, et cetera. So once again, George, we're here building a real business at the end of the day.
Yeah, and that's what it tells me. That's exactly, especially when I saw that the management team or insiders had about 18 million of those 54 million shares. 17 million of those 18 million are tied up in an 18-month escrow. That tells me this is someone building this is a company building for the long term. Julia, love switching over to you. I want to talk about the core business, which is the delivery of plant-based meals. Are you already selling product, or are you at the conceptual stage yet and you're just ramping up?
Oh, no, absolutely. We're already selling products. And like you said, we're delivering meals since last week all over Canada. Only in 1 week, we had over 250 orders, which is amazing. And it's not just a meal delivery. It's also a couple hundred products that we have live at this stage. And by the end of August, we are planning to have a couple thousand products online that we are shipping out at this moment. So yeah,
so you're going way beyond meals. Like I know that on the press release it said the plan is to roll out to cosmetics, your own water brand. Is that where you're going already?
Oh, we are at the stage that we are already shipping out plants, which is super successful, especially during the pandemic. We realized that the number of sales and plants raised dramatically. So we said, hey, it's related to our name. It makes absolutely sense. It's health beneficial. So yeah, we go for that as well. And yeah, you can actually already order plants for our platform. Absolutely.
Well, let me ask you you said that you're already shipping across Canada. So are you able to ship meals in either Vancouver or Toronto right now? Because usually startups will start with one geographic region and then expand. Are you already able to deliver across the country?
Exactly. Like last week, we are able to ship all over Canada. We started in Vancouver in April, but since last week we are available throughout the whole country, which is really exciting.
How are you able to do that? Are you working with partners across the country, or do you have your own preparation facilities across the country?
No, that's the amazing thing about our company, that we partnered up with brilliant other companies, and so basically that means we don't have any initial costs, which is perfect because they're really lean management. And yeah, through these corporations, we are able to easily ship out all over the country. So that's how it's possible.
The difficulty behind retail is acquiring customers, because in order to get to George or Mary, you've got to do some pretty extensive marketing. How are you making sure that the company doesn't fall into and that's why I'm playing devil's advocate here. You don't fall into the pitfall of spending millions of dollars to acquire customers and not being successful enough to cover your costs?
Yeah, I think first of all, plant-based is the topic at the moment. I mean, I'm based in Germany, and I think it's not just a topic related to a specific country or a region. I think the plant-based topic goes like all over the world, which is also related to the pandemic, which is a really sad thing. But I think it also kind of awakened up people that we really have to change something, also related to our nutrition. So I think even without like spending a lot of marketing costs, I think this topic is so up in the news that even if you like just do the right turns and like are up to PR, which can be like very cost efficient, I think you can be already up there. You just have to do it in a smart way and not just like throw out the money and like marketing costs. You have to do it in a smart way. And I'm pretty sure we have a really, really good marketing team in our back, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna handle this easily. And of course, I mean, I'm the one, I gonna spread the word. So I'm here to promote this, and I really stand behind this. So yeah, I think that's how you're gonna do it.
Sean, obviously your e-commerce expertise, you've always been ahead of the curve. You had success before Namaste. Then when you started Namaste, your e-commerce expertise came into play there. Safe to assume that you're going to be deploying the latest and greatest e-commerce strategies to acquire customers?
Yeah, 100%, George. And like Julia said, the way that we put our infrastructure in and everything that we do is completely thinking outside the box. You know, we partnered with a company called Up Meals in Vancouver. They already have the industrial kitchen. They already have the know-how. And we have some really exciting chefs that we're going to introduce and have really cool new meals that'll be introduced throughout the market in Canada. Once again, there's no cost to us at the end of the day to roll those out. And that's how it's going to work. Like for the plant section on our website, we teamed up with one of the leading places in Ontario for plant delivery. And now we deliver those throughout Canada. I've had the same FedEx representative at FedEx for the last 18 plus years. We piggyback off of these relationships. We get some of the greatest discounts FedEx offers. It allows us to have a competitive edge against everybody. You know, the 3,000 products that are going to be available on the website in the next few months. Once again, we don't have those inventory costs. We just API into these different technologies and be able to roll them out.
And that's the beauty, right? You're not carrying inventory. You're not tying up cash. If George has got a great plant-based product in Ontario, you're partnering with me on your platform. Someone orders it, I fulfill. You collect some kind of revenue split, and you're not a heavy cash flow business at the end of the day.
Absolutely, George. And then perfect example. Person on our advisory board calls me after we went public this morning and goes, "Sean, you know, I did a bit more reading about the company. I didn't realize all these things you can do." He's like, "Do you mean if I have cosmetics, all of a sudden you could start a whole cosmetic section on your website and offer fulfillment?" And I said, that's exactly the case. And pretty much overnight, you know, we're able to introduce these sections into the website. So if you come up with an idea and you're like, "Hey, Sean, this would be a great vertical for plant-based clothes. Let's go ahead and do," boom, right away we could launch that whole vertical. And that's the way our technology was developed. And I was starting that at Namaste. That was the movement towards the platform. And that's kind of the evolution over 20 years that I bring to the table. And then Julia with the execution and her background, you know, working at BMW, one of the top German companies in the world, you know, one of the top companies in the world, you know, the knowledge that she brings on execution, the way that, you know, we now have a CEO. Like when I started Namaste, I was wearing so many hats. It was my first rodeo, right? I was learning everything on the fly.
And you're acting like a pure startup, right? You just do everything, help the company succeed, but you probably learned some valuable lessons out of that.
Absolutely. You know, so now we have our CEO, you know, we have myself, who's unbelievable on the e-com side, really expanding that as quickly as possible, because that's a job in itself. Being a CEO is a job in itself. Having compliance with a board and keeping that separate from the CEO. All of these things, George, makes our company so much more advanced than I was day one at the other company.
Yeah, and fair to say you've learned some valuable lessons and you've implemented them this time. So I love the fact that you're telling me the CEO is actually separate from the board. You don't have a CEO sitting on the board at the end of the day. Hey, Julia, let me ask you about that. So, you know, you don't have to focus on any of those kind of matters. You're just going to be focusing on running the business. Sean kind of alluded to it. Let's talk about your experience at BMW and Daimler and the kind of things you're able to do there and how you're going to bring those skill sets over to Vegaste.
So basically, I started to work for BMW and Munich at the headquarters, like 4.5 years ago. And the beautiful thing was back then, because you know BMW is a quite big company, that I got the chance to like be part of a new department of BMW, which was called the Mobility Service of BMW. And it was really interesting because we started with a small team and we built that team up. And I think it was an interesting journey. I learned so much, and for me the biggest part was, and it's actually quite interesting. Probably most of you guys don't even know that BMW started a joint venture with Daimler over a year ago. They partnered up, even though they are the biggest competitors.
Sure.
But they partnered up in mobility services, for example, car sharing, ride hailing, and these kind of things, because they realized they have to partner up to be even stronger on that kind of market. So I got the chance to be part of that joint venture, and actually they moved me to Berlin to be part of that whole new project, which also meant like being part of a whole new thing, which is like, and that was the beauty of it, because it was like being part of a really big company, but still being part of a small thing that
Right.
you like build up. And I was basically responsible for the whole rebranding, because we basically had to like build up that whole new section also in terms of like branding and how to set up the strategy and all these kind of things. So I can definitely benefit from those experiences, because in the end, I mean, when I met Sean last year, he had the idea, and he brought me on board as kind of first person being part of that. And I mean, it's basically the same thing. Like, you have to build up something from ground. You have to have the vision, which Sean definitely had. And I'm like part of that journey from the very beginning. And that's what I have experience in, with like building it up. I have a master's degree and an MBA with focus on digital entrepreneurship. So I always was like kind of interested in building up like small companies and make them big. So
I don't think there's a better combination of experience to be the CEO when than working for mega companies, but you're working inside of them in a startup environment. You get the best of both worlds. You learn best practices. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what you're going to be able to bring to the company. Hey, Sean, last question for you. Look, the nature of being someone in e-commerce means you have to be ahead of the curve, right? Generally, you're not great at e-commerce if you're trailing the curve. You did it before, then you did it with Namaste. Now you're doing with Vegaste, and again, I love the transplanting of the name there. How big of a paradigm shift for everyone watching at home? How big of a paradigm shift is plant-based foods? Because some people think, all right, is this a trend? We see that obviously the most obvious exposure everyone has to it is Beyond Meat. You know, it's at some of the local, all the local big, not local, sorry, I thought all the big retail national chains. Where do you see plant-based foods going? Because I know you're not going to jump into something that's just a fad or even a niche. Is it going to get as big as people think it is?
George, I think this is something that is 100%, absolutely here to stay. If you think about the situation we're in, COVID, you look at swine flu, these pandemics have started from eating animals, right? And, I think this has been brought awareness to a lot of individuals out there. And that's what I think the draw is, the whole plant-based space. If I was a gambler, and I looked at trends starting from March to where we are now, I would almost guarantee you that the trends are off the chart on people making a movement towards the plant-based space. At the end of the day, no one could deny putting these great products in your body. Sure, there's, people debating around Beyond Meat, Impossible, and it goes back to what I originally said at Namaste, right? We never wanted to be a brand. We never wanted to be the Aurora. We never wanted to be the Canopy, because they compete against each other, right? There's going to be publicity around, hey, I like Beyond Meat. Oh, I don't like Beyond Meat. Oh, it's made in all. At our, at our website, our job is to give everybody choice and selection, and that's what we're here for. We want to embrace people. Like, typically the word vegan, right? People would be like, it's so extreme, I'm not interested in it.
Sure,
and then,
absolutely.
right away it's like, oh man, you're eating honey, like how could, like, so there's always this confusion, right? At Plantex, the whole idea behind the community we're building is to open up and bring everybody in. If someone's just interested in trying it for one meal a week, if someone's interested in trying to do it, because I get a lot of the times, oh, I can't be plant-based, I can't be vegan because I'm too hungry after a meal. I guarantee you, George, I'll take you, like you guys have phenomenal places in Toronto. I'll take you for a meal where you'll walk out and be like, one, that was extremely satisfying. Two, it was incredible and I couldn't believe it was plant-based. And three, I am absolutely full. At the end of the day, when you have someone there by your side who really knows the space, that's really what we're after here.
Well, look,
education.
But I got to tell you, I'm as red-blooded male, carnivore as you can get. I'm 6'3", 200 and, I won't say that, I'll lie, 6'3", 230, 240 pounds. And I love my food, but even just staring at the Plantex website, and by the way, for everyone at home who's been hearing us say Plantex, that's plantex.com is the operating site, the e-commerce platform for Vegaste. But just looking at it today, I couldn't help but say to myself, I'm definitely going to order a couple of these things because they look like they're tasty, they look like they're great, and I know they're good for me. So if you can get someone like me that interested in kind of salivating, I got to imagine that Vegaste is really, really on to something. So last question to you.
George, one thing that I wanted to just give you a crazy stat. I read, how many people would you think that live in Vancouver up to the age of 35 consider themselves plant-based? I was shocked by this percentage.
Consider themselves 12%.
40% of people up to the age of 35 consider themselves plant-based in the Vancouver area. Is that not unbelievable?
Yeah. Well, what's it like? So I guess, what are the numbers like for places like Ontario and other places? Is Vancouver an outlier? And even if Ontario is below that, are you seeing trends that they're moving higher and almost unstoppably so?
Absolutely. So that's why I'm saying, like, whether I'm speaking to a 20-year-old or an 80-year-old while I was, telling the story, it's incredible how everybody has such an interest or a story about plant-based eating. In cannabis, anybody under the age of 21, in some places 19, couldn't participate. Older generation didn't really participate. So it was very sporadic.
Sure.
The interest here saying, my friend, he just took me out for a plant-based meal the other night. It was so, like, every single person has a story about how they've tried it. Or so I love how everybody's just loving this space. And we're in food. So for the first time in my e-com career, I have a product that's actually being consumed and used on a daily basis, which I believe will drive revenue through the roof.
And available to everyone, right, Julia? There isn't anybody out there that it's not cannabis where people can say, hey, I'm legal or not, I'm not going to try cannabis. This is a product.
There are no regulations, nothing. So yeah, I would say we are unstoppable, basically.
Julia, where do you see the company 12 months from now in terms of, well, in your terms? I won't even define them. Do you see the company just moving along incrementally or really blowing up?
I mean, since I'm based in Europe, based in Germany, I would definitely say that I see ourselves in Europe, especially in like markets like Germany. And yeah, I think Canada is just the beginning. And since we already have built up that like great technology, it's easy to expand. And we are already looking at like great partnerships in European countries. So I definitely see ourselves in Europe, in UK, within 1 year. Absolutely.
And this is our first interview together, so we're filling in the holes here. So I should have asked that. I'm glad you brought that up. How about the U.S. market? Are you in the U.S. market right now, or is it Canada first? And if so, are you planning to? Because it's an e-commerce platform at the end of the day. Are you planning to attack the U.S. market?
I mean, meal delivery, we kicked off in Canada. We are, like I said, we are all over available in Canada. The products are available all over the US and Canada. So yeah, basically we are looking into all markets possible. But for now, we are available in the US and in Canada, except the meals that are only available in Canada.
Sean, last word to you, my man. I'm so happy for you. So happy to see you back in business. I know the passion you bring. And the one thing, that became apparent only after a lot of our interviews in Namaste was not just the passion, but the intelligence you bring. I mean, you're a methodical machine. How do you see the Vegaste 12 months from now? Where do you want it to be?
George, this industry is growing really, really quick. And the partnerships we have, which I can't disclose as of yet, but we're not shy to obviously putting out news because we're active. You know what I mean? The partnerships that we're about to announce, stay tuned because there's some fantastic ones. But listen, the site launched in February. We're already on a run rate of roughly $3 million US a year.
Wow.
So, that, and no slowdown in sight. And if you compare that to, you mentioned we're the third company to go public in the plant-based space. Companies that even have, and believe me, we had a phenomenal day today. Like I said, great volume. Trading up to a market cap all the way from, we started at about 12 million this morning, closed at roughly 75 million. We have 3 times more revenue than the other companies in the Canadian space, and their market cap is 50% higher than ours.
Yeah.
So it just indicates, I believe those companies are valued appropriately. They have phenomenal baby, modern meat, and the Very Good Butcher. They all have great products, great concepts. No, I definitely believe in the value. I'm a shareholder in 2 of those 3, full disclosure. You know what I mean? I really love the space. But they're already at $100 million market cap with God knows where they go. And we already have, in just 4 or 5 months, 3 times the revenue, if not more. And our market cap is. When you
think about it, you guys might actually end up partnering up with 1 or 2 of those companies at the end of the day, right?
Absolutely. We already use Modern Meats products in our meals. So, who knows what kind of announcements come in the future, Well,
look, everyone knows that Baby Else Nutrition is our client. We've been with them for a long time, pound the table. So, hey, I wouldn't find it. And they've just launched their e-commerce, so I don't see why you guys might not partner up and have their toddler foods and nutrition products, clean label, plant-based foods for your customers as well, for your database. Just throwing it out there. But I love the fact that everything is open.
Delivering. Yeah, we just started delivering children's meals. That was just added to our platform 3 weeks ago. And those are going great. And we just started introducing Midday Squares, which is a great company out of Montreal. And we've now offered that. So absolutely, anything's possible, George. And that's the beauty of our platform. Every new company that enters into the plant-based world is a partner of PlantX.
Yeah, I've got a couple of companies I can tell you, and one that's a private company that I'm going to connect you with after our here in Toronto. So I love what you're doing. Thanks to both of you for joining us, and congratulations on an amazing first day from a capital markets point of view. But Sean, just that last point at the end that the company's already on a $3 million US run rate. That's amazing news to find out as well. So congratulations, and thanks to both of you, because I know today had to be really busy. Your phones are ringing off the hook for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for fitting us in, George.
No problem whatsoever. To everyone at home, you've been watching, or if you've been listening via podcast, to Julia Frank, CEO, and Sean Dollinger, founder of Vegaste Technologies. The company trades on the CSC under the stock symbol VEGA. If you want to know more information about the company, they're not on AGORACOM at this time because it's the first day of trading, but get to their website, plantx.com. I guarantee you the imagery is great. The food looks great. You'll be salivating, and you may become a customer overnight. And at the end of the day, that probably proves the validity of the company, where it's going. If you can be a shareholder and a customer at the same time, boom. You've heard everything. You've listened to it. Do your due diligence. And I hope you've discovered your next great small cap company. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. See you next time.